actions to take in response, I suggest. One is control the substances you and your family ingest. And that requires, and that's all materials, drugs, food, anything you take. Now, not only the physical intake, but also the intellectual and spiritual intake as well. And that requires education, a substantial commitment on your behalf for education, tempered by reasonableness and balance. One can become paranoid in the subject, so you've got to be reasonable, but be smart, be informed in your decisions, and invest the time to be aware of what you ingest. So control the audiovisual programming, and where that programming is for a purpose, that you and your family are exposed to. And I believe that's not just limited to what we're used to of controlling profanity, sex, and violence as being dangerous to our families. Like, for example, kids shows and things like that. I think if you watch some of the children's shows today, there are psychedelic elements and even magical elements that don't register necessarily in profanity or violence or sex, may not even be kicked up with protective software, but you need to be aware of the worldview that you're being taught to your children. I also think that you should talk to your children, even if they're older teenagers, about a real Christian worldview, a real one, and a Christian perspective to what is being expressed in the culture media. You will not be able to totally shield them from exposure if they're going to school, if they're around other friends. But what you can do is be ahead of the curve and instruct them about what they're being prepared and what they understand. And what you will find is that it will not be a turnoff to your children. They will actually be fascinated by the material similar to what's been in this presentation and some of the radio shows like Brother Chris's show and things. They will be fascinated to hear about this, and it'll be a way for you to connect with your youth about this. And you can also fill the void. If you have to limit certain entertainment and other content that they can have, there can be some very interesting Bible study that goes on, sharing with Christians, and there's even some fiction, some action fiction and things like this that are done by Christians about these topics that can actually have healthy understanding from them, and something that can actually fascinate them. And also, I think you should take time to warn family and friends, churchgoers, and the public. Many of them will not understand when you tell them about the information we've covered here, even Christians. It will be too overwhelming for them. But I recommend that everybody listening here take the risk anyway to share this information with people you know, and hopefully they will appreciate it later. And I'd like to quote a passage as the final word here that maybe you could consider in a different light from what you had before, given what we've covered right now. This is from 2 Thessalonians 2, verses 7 and 8. And I'm going to include the Greek words in here with some definitions, some of the alternative definitions within Strong's Word. It says, "For mysterion, or mysteries, religious secrets, which are confided only to the initiated and not ordinary mortals. For mysterion of iniquity doth already work. Only arti," Greek arti, which means now at this time, kateko, which means that which hinders the Antichrist from making his appearance. Only now at that time, that hindrance is occurring until genomai, which means to arise, to appear in history, come upon the stage, will come out of the mesos, or the midst. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy the brightness of his coming. So, this passage can be read to say that these mysteries or religious secrets confided only to the initiated, pertaining to iniquity, are already at work, and only now at this time, that which hinders the Antichrist from making his appearance is occurring until it arises, where it appears in history, comes on the world stage, out of our midst, and then the wicked one will be revealed.
The Revelation of St. John the Divine, Chapter 20. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that he must be loosed a little season. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no power, but they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and compassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city. And fire came down from God out of heaven, and devoured them. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God. And the books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it. And death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged every man according to their works. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire.